Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Business Point on Global Television. Hope you all had an amazing weekend, and I sure did. And today, on today's program, we'll be looking at the top earners and gainers from the previous week, and as well as good news hitting Nigerian market as prices begin to slash down, and again, people are beginning to, enjoy the benefits of the rainy season. And again, the policies that has been set by Mr. President and monetary policies are expected to die down in the coming months, as well as food inflation is about to also decrease. So on that note, consumer price index CPI in Nigeria increased to 750.30% in the month of June/May, and then May, June, July, it rose to like 750 points and 733 points in the month of May. So we experienced a decline of 2024 consumer price index CPI in Nigeria, averaged 158.43 points from 1995 until 2024, reaching an all-time high of 750.30 points in the month of June. If we can remember, in the month of June, that was when we had a whole lot of spike in terms of inflation rates and monetary policies being tightened, and then we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because now in the market, prices of food items are beginning to crash down, which was promised by this current administration. And then statistics and market forecast also projected that all of those will be happening from the month of August all through the end of the year. So we're expecting to see more prices slash down as the month unfolds. So, on the record of a low of 14.36% in the month of January 1995. So these were the things that we have experienced in this years, all through January, all through this point coming up. And then at this note, now we're beginning to witness a significant level of decline and crash of food prices. So it's a point in the right direction as we get into the business of the day. Now we will be dwelling basically mostly at home, where we'll be looking at the current exchange rate. I would like to remind you that just last week, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Ministry of Finance came together, and then we were able to sell $873 million to the exchange, to auctions, and then retail sellers, as to the banks and those people that are planning for importations of grains, which is set to commence from this week, because guidelines have been put in place by the customer and the federal government to ensure that we get the actual grains that we need to help cop out food crisis and food inflation in the country, which is on the light and almost in the break of dawn. So we're hoping to see all of that happen. So now, on that note, we've experienced that dollar last week has done so, the Naira has gained so much against the dollar, which is also the current exchange rate of $1 to Naira is at 1,589 Naira, 0.91 kobo. The current exchange rate last updated as at a few minutes ago before I came on air was around 0.0062, which is, this is the interval exchange last updated. So the high and the last for the last 30 days is around 1,660 Naira. The highest exchange rate in the last 30 days was 1,660 Naira. Low in the last 30 days was exchanged at 1,534 Naira. The lowest exchange rate in the last 30 days was 1,534 Naira average in the last 30 days. So now, in the black markets now, persons get to exchange the dollar to up to 1,615, 1,618, even 1,621 Naira. So all of this is happening in the wake that the CBN has been able to auction and sold, pumping a whole lot of dollar into the market, and then our FX rates and the Naira is doing so well in the FX market. So this is what we tend to experience when we see all of these actions being put in place and taken, not just being put in place, but also taken swiftly by the federal government and the Ministry of Sport. So the Ministry of Finance, rather. So all of these angles now are things that we're actually looking at, and then we're expecting to see more prices slash and then crash as the month unfolds. So we'll be averaging more and then having more discussions as all of this happened. So the average exchange rates in the lowest for the past or for the last 30 days has been at 1,601 naira. So all of this might have changed for these few minutes that I've been on air, because this is the latest update that I'm bringing you from the for the dollar and naira exchange rates. I'll be going on a quick break, and then when we return back, Business Point continues. Yes, many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Business Point, and I am Samuel Odi. So we will be looking at the top gainers in Nigerian stock exchange markets, and then also look at the top losers from just the previous week. This is just to let you know what the market is looking like, and then the forecast for the week. And then for those that have plans of investing in any of these sectors, or you're willing to like withdraw, so you would just know what decisions to take. So we're trying to make the job easy for you, so you wouldn't, be thinking over so much on what to do. So we are going to be starting from all angles. Now we're going to take every sector. We're going to talk about security, transportation, as well as hospitality, and every other sector, oil and gas not excluded. So we'll be looking at this. Let's start from the transport scene. ABC Transport, that's Associated Bus Company PLC. They are one of the top gainers, highest top gainers actually for last week, which gained at 10% profits. They made more extra 10%. Sector transportation, and then they followed by Etana, which also gained at 10%. This is looking at the energy sector and minerals now. Then Julius Berger, who is also known for industrial services, gained plus 10% of their income. Then United Capital PLC also gained plus 10%. This is from the financial angle. And then Industries also gained at 9.94%, which is part of the health technology. Academic Press PLC plus 9.2%. Consumer Services, Oando PLC gained at 9.88%. Energy and Mineral Resource, and then Jake Paul Gold and Ventures PLC gained at 9.63%. Sector Transportation, Industrial Medical Gases Nigeria PLC gained at 8.18%. Sector Process Industries, UBA, United Bank of Africa, Nigeria gained at 7.98%. Sector Finance. So now we'll be looking at, these are the top gainers of the previous week, and how the percentage that they made on their profit margin from the previous. So most of these companies are actually doing well and gaining. So the fact of the protests that happened, and then the current inflation rates in Nigeria didn't totally have a negative impact on those companies. So some of those big companies that we're expecting to hit a higher level experience some losses, and then we'll be going down and then be discussing them. Union Disco Salt PLC had a minus 9.88%. Sector Consumer Non-Durables, and then the price now currently for you, if you want to get any stock or invest, is actually being sold at 7.30 kobo. Yeah, 7 naira 30 kobo. So as the singular fact remains that as you suffer a bullish side, a bearish side in your profit margin, you're obviously going to have a decline in your investment, and then so the stock price is actually going to drop down, just more like the same thing that happens in the crypto world. Also extends the level in the stock exchange market. So that's all of that. Then University Press PLC also suffered a minus 8.79% consumer service, and then their prices now are at 2.18 naira. 2.18 kobo, 2 naira 18 kobo. Custodian Investment PLC minus 8.59%. Sector Finance, so they sell each share now at 11 naira 70 kobo price. And then Omek Ventures is at minus 7.14%. Sector Electronics Technology, which is sold at 0.665 kobo. So Mansard, insurance is at minus 6.85%, and which is sold, their price now, their stocks now are being sold, our shares rather, are being sold at 5.05, naira. So Presco suffered also minus 5.17%. Consumer non-durable, which price now has gotten to 460 naira. Converters Offshore Support Group PLC is at minus 5.11%. Sector Transportation, price now for the stock is at 1 naira 30 kobo per share. So Livestock had a serious loss, which suffered minus 4.80%. Sector Process Industries, which their stocks is now sold at 2.38 naira. Prestige Press Assurance Company Limited minus 4.0%. Sector Finance, which is sell now at 0.48 kobo. So that is it for those top losses in Nigeria. So that is, we obviously start from the local scene, and then we take it all to the international markets, where European markets, you're going to be talking about the top gainers of the European market from the previous week, which is at 19. Elsa NG NAN is at 19.80% top profits. They are leading the pack with a plus 19.80% increment in their revenue. Sector consumable durables, and then next is Next Nava International, which is at 4.58% non-sector information. So Agaba Group Holdings Limited gained at plus 3.55%, and as well as the ECTAC AG, which is part of the oil sector, gained plus 3.40%. Modovicare International gained at 1.92%, and then Server NG gained at plus 1.82%, which is the angle of producer manufacturing. So those are the top gainers from the European market. So we'll be moving on as we look at also the top losers of European markets. Tough Built Industry International, which lost drastically at minus 52.76%. Symbol 360Q price now is at €2. Wheeler Real Estate Investment Trust International also suffered a loss at 23.46%. Symbol X4Z0 also selling right now at €2. Acumen Pharmaceutical International also suffered a 15.41% symbol, price now being sold at 1.9 euros. So Template 12 Purses also suffered a loss at minus 14.35% symbols, and then price now is at €1.00. So that's just what it is from the European market, and how much losses and significant differences this has had. So now let's come back home to the current prices of food items now in the markets. Earlier this year, a basket of tomato was sold for up to the sum of 70 to 85,000 naira. At this point now, this prices has actually slashed from that last week, because it's a season for all of this produce, and then harvest has been happening. So we have seen that the price has slashed to up to 35,000 naira, depending on the size and the gram that you're buying. So you can also go to the market now and see the effectiveness of food items being slashed down, and as well as other segments. So we'll be going on a quick break, and then when we come back, Business Point continues as we extract more of the food prices in Nigerian markets. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Central Bank of Nigeria has approved a financial package worth 700 billion naira to support the proposed merger between Unity Bank PLC and Providus Bank Limited. According to the Apex Bank, the bailout is aimed at strengthening the stability of Nigeria's financial system, as confirmed in an official letter from the Central Bank of Nigeria, which detailed the terms and structure of the financial accommodation. The letter addressed to the Managing Director of Unity Bank outlined a 20-year term loan designed to ensure the operational stability of the merged entity. This represents the first financial bailout of a commercial bank under Yemi Cardoso as Central Bank Governor. It is also coming on the heel of the liquidation of Heritage Bank, which many had thought was a sign that the Apex Bank will not be bailing out banks. Net inflow on Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, hit astronomical height of $1.2 billion in 24 hours, following massive sell-off brought about by Monday's market crash. The volume of the inflow on Binance marks the highest net inflow day this year, according to Richard Teng, the CEO of Binance. Richard Teng quoted data from DeFi Lima on the volume of inflow on Binance while attributing the feat to the rising investors' confidence. Nigeria's revenue share from the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited has plummeted by 43% due to persistent gas supply challenges, leaving several industry experts increasingly worried about the mounting headwinds plaguing the country's economic lifeblood, the oil and gas sector. The Nigerian LNG Limited, owned by the federal government of Nigeria and 3 international oil companies, has seen its output decline owing to gas supply constraints, which also pose a threat to its expansion plan. Data sourced from the Nigerian Budget Performance shows that the federal government's actual revenue from its NLNG shares stood at 46.2 billion naira in 2023, a 43.5% decline from a proposed target of 81.79 billion naira. Nigeria's deep water lack a fiscal framework for associated and non-associated gas, especially the one under production sharing contract. Kelvin Emmanuel, CEO of Dairy Hill, explained that IOC like Exxon and Chevron that are not in the NLNG joint ventures lack incentive to invest in developing wells for gas or assets that will involve them giving the entire gas feedback to the government without clarity on sharing formula, carried cost and interest, as well as pricing models. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Business Point. And now I'm about to ask a very swift question. Do you have what it takes to run with the bull or stay low with the bear? We'll find out because currently Bitcoin is now being sold at $58,000, which has been a significant high as at last week. You know, coming up earlier this year, we were made to understand that Bitcoin might hit the margin of about $100,000 US before the end of the year 2024, and then weeks before, that was as at last week, as at this time last week, Bitcoin was currently being sold at the rate of 52,000 US dollars, and then it rebounded back and then spiked up with a bullish side, and it has been a massive increase on since Wednesday up to date, which Bitcoin has significantly earned higher momentum and hasn't been dropping down so much. So currently Bitcoin is being sold for up to 58,000 naira. And again, statistics and then forecasts have shown that it's going to hit up to 62 to 65,000 naira before this week runs out. So that still brings me back to my question. Do you have what it takes to run with the bull, or in terms of Bitcoin and Forex exchange, or you're just going to remain low and then stay down with the bear? So whichever point you decide, or whichever angle you decide to take on this matter, I hope it serves you well at the end of the day. So looking at Ethereum now, so because Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then Shiba coin, and then every other coin that comes in below gained momentum from Bitcoin. The more Bitcoin does well, these other little coins as well do better. As it stands, Ethereum now is being sold at 2,500, which is actually a loss, because as at Thursday, Friday, it was being sold at 2,600 US dollars. So it suffered a bit of a decline because Bitcoin had a little bit of Swift, and then they suffered a little bit of a bearish sign, which amounted to the fact that it dropped down and then spiked back up. So before the day runs out, or before the close of business this week, Ethereum and Bitcoin would be doing reasonably well. And then we're hoping that all of the current prices in the market, Nigerian market, talking about food now, is something that we're expecting to see a significant drop as the day unfold. And then looking at the consumer price index, which is also projected to be on the bearish side,